And happiness has nothing to do with that. Happiness has to do with the stories I create about my circumstances. That's why two people might have the same circumstances, and one person can be very happy and the other one could be miserable. So our misery is self-created. No one has ever created misery for us. And that's very difficult to accept when you have experienced this suffering. Welcome, everyone, to our weekly online breathwork, mindfulness, and meditation class. We gather here every week online to give ourselves the opportunity to stop from the busyness of our lives, but most importantly, to stop from the busyness of the mind. Because the reality is that we all have this voice in our head that is talking to us all day long. As we spoke last week, the quality of my life does not depend on my circumstances. My happiness doesn't really depend on my circumstances. My happiness depends on the quality of the stories that my mind creates about my circumstances. And for some of us, this mind is out of control. That is creating stories about things, about the past, about the future, about other people, about the people we love, about our colleagues, about the politics, about the government. And sometimes this mind tends to catastrophize the future. And then we get worried, anxious, and so we have two options. We can learn to control the mind, or the mind will control us. So it's very important. It's our choice. Most of the suffering in the world is happening because we have no control of our mind. And our mind does its things and go to very dark places. And we don't know what to do about it because we never learn to control our mind. Our mind is a great tool. It's the most powerful tool ever developed to create. It's the greatest computer. It is the greatest AI, the real one, intelligence. But when it's out of control, it can create a lot of suffering. The mind is created for survival. Our mind is a survival instrument, very powerful. If it wasn't because of our mind, we would be stinks today. The dinosaurs, not the dinosaurs, but the lions and the wildness will have killed us. But because we have a very smart mind that help us to survive, to develop strategies to keep us safe, we're here and we're thriving. However, this mind is not designed for happiness. And that's the thing. We will never get to happiness by thinking, by reasoning. If you think, if you reason, that's going to always lead to suffering at one point. And it so happened because we have been told that we can outsource our happiness to other people, to our possessions, to my partner, to my children, to the government. Good luck with that. Even to nature. So we outsource happiness and we give the responsibility of us being happy to other people thinking the way I think, to other people doing the things I want them to do. So when we disagree with them or they disagree with us or they don't do what we think is right, we create suffering. So everyone has a blueprint of life. And your blueprint says When I'm 40, when I'm 50, when I'm 60, I should be here. I should have these things. I should have these material possessions, and I should have this family, and I should have children, or my children should be this way. My body should look this way, you know. And then when reality doesn't match your blueprint, boom, suffering. So we think that matching the blueprint will make us happy. And happiness has nothing to do with that. Happiness has to do with the stories I create about my circumstances. That's why two people might have the same circumstances, and one person can be very happy and the other one could be miserable. So our misery is self created. No one has ever created misery for us. And that's very difficult to accept when you have experienced deep suffering because we don't want to accept that. And we like blaming people. It's better to say that person did that to me, and then we avoid responsibility and then it's better. So, yeah, I'm not condoning people's malicious acts. We all have created things and we have done things out of being unconscious. You know what I mean? Um, but it's not what happened to me. It's not what happened to you. If you experience trauma in your life, it's not what happened. It's how you interpret what happened that develop the trauma in your mind and perhaps in your body. So it's interpretation of reality. So when you are 5 year old, you have a different interpretation of reality than when you are 10, than when you are 15, than when you are 50. So whatever happened at 5, at 6, at 10, at 15, your interpretation of it was done with a 5 year old mentality, then with a 10 year old mentality, or with a 20 year old mentality. And that's what your interpretation. And that get absorbed and that creates energy blockages in the body. It gets stored in the energy body, in the physical body, and in your mind. And then when we grow up, we are old and we see, oh yeah, I understand that. I understand what happened. So then our 40, 50, or 60 or 30 year old can understand it. And we make logically we accept that. However, the energy store is still what you made out of the experience when you were 5, 10, or 15. So even though you can rationalize what happened, we still carry those things because the 5 year old made up something different about it. Now, how do we fix this? How do we purify those things? Because in yoga, we call them impurities. By the way, yoga is a purification practice to purify the body with the asana practice. You purify the body, right, with the movement. We purify the energy body with the breathing, with pranayama or breath work. So you can purify your energy channels and your chakras and all of that stuff. And then you purify your mind with all the negative thoughts and darkness that is created by ourselves mostly, and then from the outside. So yoga allows us to purify all those imprints from the past. So every time you experience something, positive, negative, it creates an imprint in your mind. And then if the imprint is strong because you have an emotional reaction to it, let's say trauma or negative experience, that imprint stays in the mind and then it goes into the energy body. So it creates blockages in your energy channels or chakras. And then that might create a blockage of energy in your body. And then you feel that you have a frozen shoulder or you can't move your neck or you have a chronic pain in your hips, usually hips, lower back, shoulders. And then if you don't deal with it, suddenly you have a mushroom growing up from here. And this mushroom needs to be cut off. by the surgeon. And all of that stuff is just stuff that is created by the mind most of the time. How do we purify this? We practice yoga. You purify your body with the asana practice. You purify your energy with the breathing practice, which is breath work or pranayama. And then we purify the mind with concentration and meditation. And that's what we're doing here. So yoga is a personal development practice that allows us to purify ourselves. And that's kind of what we're doing today. Because as you purify your mind, as you purify your body, you can live healthier and happier. And then in the process, we might realize our true nature and realize that I'm not my body, I'm not my mind. I'm just feeling sorry for myself because I'm too attached to who I believe I am. And then you find union. Yoga means union, by the way. The word yoga means union. Union with what? Whatever's important to you. We start with the self. We start with the people we love. Then we go to community. Then we go to nature. Ultimately, it's the union with everything there is, something bigger than us. And when you unite with everything, but to get there, we have to purify. Without purification, it's impossible. You purify your mind, your body, and then we transcend the limitations and the self-pity of the mind and the limitations of the body. And then you free yourself. Self-realization, they call it, or awakening, you know? So that's called liberation. Liberation from what? From myself. Because ultimately I'm just trying to free myself from myself because this guy is the one who creates the suffering. And then we free. See? So everything we do is always beneficial. Like even these little things we do here, it will take you further in your journey. You have a little insight and then you keep doing the work. But it's about showing up. This is not something you do once a month, once a year. It's a daily practice. That's why now I'm doing these online classes to help people that cannot come to my events. So wherever you are, you can just check in and remind yourself of this to keep yourself centered, balanced, and grounded. Yeah? Good? So good? All right. All right. Let's get started. Let's do some breathing, some movement, and some meditation. So let's find a comfortable seat.